You've got 3 homicides here, 3 deaths created at the hands of another. Guess what? I give you the drug, you die, I'm on the fucking hook. That's the law of the land everywhere. 2 days go by where nobody is. I mean, these guys are sitting on the fucking yard for 2 days. What was he doing in those 2 days? I guarantee he was probably using, no question about it.
True.
Jordan's the chemist, bro.
Jordan's what?
Jordan's the chemist, bro. See how that just rolled off his tongue? That just rolled off his tongue.
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And he's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, of course, your board-certified criminal defense lawyer here at your service with my pearl-handled pistol cufflinks so graciously gifted to me by our content genius that you know is Michael Rivers. Today we're reacting to the death of 3 men in Kansas City. Now you've heard a little bit about this, and the principal in this case is Jordan Willis. The 3 guys that have passed away are David Harrington, Ricky Johnson, and Clayton McGinney. But before we get to that, this is brought to you by eForms.com. eForms.com, very effective way to get a business document done without hiring a guy like me. You know, I've got my grandmother in my basement, as you know, and I really need to feel protected because she is a sketchy woman. So I went to eForms.com and I made her sign a lease. I just had to have her sign a lease. And I also had to do a power of attorney because, you know, but is there a conflict there if I have her do a power of attorney and I'm in control of that and I have her sign a lease? I don't know. Is there? It doesn't matter because if you need a power of attorney or a lease agreement or any kind of business agreement, anything that you need to be protected, you go to eForms.com. And you can combine that with eSign.com because you can have it signed electronically as well. If you want to make sure that your grandma's trapped in rent in perpetuity like I did, just kidding, of course. Go to eForms.com. You can use it for just about any kind of agreement, and you'll see that it's a really effective way to avoid the high cost of a lawyer. eForms.com. They're an incredible sponsor of our channel for like going on 3 years now. They're amazing. So anyway, eForms.com. So let's get into this a little bit. I want to tell you something. Now, I want to show you a little bit of an interview. Before we get to that, on January 9th, there was a party. You know, a bunch of Kansas City fans went over to Jordan Willis's house, and it was the 3 guys that I mentioned, David, Ricky, and Clayton. They all went over there, and then the next day or next couple days, they were found dead in the yard. No signs of trauma. Gee, I wonder what could have happened to them. First of all, you know, Kansas City's not that harsh of a climate. You know, when you get up in Minnesota, like where I am, or northern Wisconsin, or Canada, and you get stuck outside your house, you're going to freeze to death. You will freeze to death. Not so much in Kansas City. A little milder climate. And so you see 3 guys without any trauma. What do you think happened? Well, the police reports came out, or at least they told the family, that it's likely an overdose. Big fucking surprise. But what does that mean? April Mahoney, she was the fiance to Clayton McGinney, and on January, I think it was around January 9th, she decided, oh, I gotta figure out what's going on. So she goes over there and she's pounding on the door, and she sees Mr. Harrington like this, just sitting up in a chair dead. She doesn't even see that her boyfriend is on the ground dead next to him. She sees that, she calls the cops, but she had been pounding on the door and no one answers. And this is a rental home. And we'll get into who Mr. Willis is in a second. The cops come, and Willis comes to the door, and he comes to the door in his boxers with an empty wine glass. Kind of visions of Johnny Depp, doesn't it kind of give you a little bit? Although, now who is Mr. Willis? Mr. Willis rented the home. My understanding, and I could be wrong about this, but these 3 guys that died were all really good friends. And Mr. Willis was kind of out here. You know, he wasn't one of their good friends, but they knew where to go to get the shit that they needed. Who is Mr. Willis? Mr. Willis has a PhD. Not sure what his PhD is in, but he works trying to find and fine-tune drugs for HIV. Mr. Willis is an advanced research scientist working at the International AIDS Vaccine Initiative, IAVI, International AIDS Vaccine Initiative. And he works their Neutralizing Antibody Center in La Jolla, California, and Kansas City, where he lives, and he's got a couple pit bulls and whatever. So, but his job is to take technology and try to fine-tune it and to make a better vaccine on the AIDS virus. Well, he's also known by some as the Chemist. The Chemist. I don't know if he's a Walter White kind of guy, but he is. Here, let's just play this interview from somebody who knows him.
A lot of times I'm hearing that David Clayton, and Ricky were like brothers. Jordan was kind of off on the side.
Mm-hmm.
True?
Jordan's the chemist, bro.
Jordan's what?
Jordan's the chemist, bro. See how that just rolled off his tongue? That just rolled off his tongue.
Jordan's the chemist. They all knew him as that. It was easy for them to go have fun, but he up. He made a mistake. Jordan was the chemist. He's a scientist, right? He does what he needs to do. And now, to use my cousin, my best friend, as a guinea pig? No.
What about Alex Lee? What do you know about him?
I know him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Any idea that he might have brought drugs?
Hell no.
No?
Jordan had him. Jordan was one.
So basically what he's saying is that everybody knows where to get the drugs. Everybody knows that Jordan's got the dope, right? And he mixes the cocktails up and so... And we don't know if that's true or not. You know, this is just cousin of one of the decedents, and he is obviously upset.
So you don't think any more attention should be paid on Alex Lee?
Alex Lee is a good man. He's a good man. Alex Lee is a solid. He was one of their best friends forever. Jordan is somebody that is known from high school as like creating drugs for people to make them feel better in certain situations. Okay, well, you want to do this? Okay, I'm gonna make this for you. I'm gonna make this for you. I'm gonna make this for you, and handing them out. At this point, the country knows what's gonna happen, right? What the toxicology reports are what they're gonna reveal. We all know that. Okay. Who is the one that gave it to them, and who is the one that needs to be held responsible? Where did it come from?
So that is so succinctly, directly on point. Remember what I told you about a digital footprint? Everybody's got a digital footprint. So Jordan, if he's erased any text messages, which I'm sure he has. So right now he went into treatment, which I think is the smartest thing he could have done. And you've got a situation where, you know, his cell phone, his internet history, and, you know, everything that, all the devices that he is privy to, hopefully the cops have already taken all that stuff into custody. I've seen reports where they say this is not being treated as a homicide, and I think that's absolutely ridiculous. No, I mean, no responsible journalist could say this is not being treated like a homicide. I mean, the toxicology results aren't even in yet. They have some preliminary results, but... and it's a fentanyl overdose, a combination of fentanyl, cocaine overdose. You heard Caleb talk about who had the drugs, who should be held accountable. Let me tell you what has happened in this same jurisdiction. U.S. District Judge Henry E. Autry on Tuesday sentenced a man to life in prison for selling heroin and fentanyl that killed a Florissant, Missouri man in 2018. Whelan Kennedy, who was 50 years old in St. Louis County, was convicted by a jury in May of distribution of a controlled substance that resulted in the death. 2 counts of distributing fentanyl and 1 count of being a felon in possession of a firearm. And he got life. Life. You've got 3 homicides here. 3 deaths created at the hands of another. If you look at Statute 565.021 in Missouri, this act modifies the crime of murder in the second degree by adding language making a person who is knowingly and unlawfully manufactures, delivers, or distributes fentanyl or a fentanyl-related substance, and thereafter the controlled substance is caused in fact of the death of another person who uses it or consumes it. And it's not a defense that the defendant did not directly deliver or distribute the fentanyl. In other words, you can do it directly or indirectly. And so it's murder in the second degree. These are big time cases. And when you have 3 victims, they can all be sentenced consecutively. So whether it's federal or state, he could be looking at a long prison sentence. So what are they going to do? They're going to take his devices. I have a murder case that I'm going into next week, and the cops can't even get into the iPhone. So, and we tried and we couldn't get into it. It's very difficult to get into some of these devices. Wouldn't be surprised if this PhD senior scientist has his devices encrypted and you can't get into them. Not sure if that's the case, but the cops are going to have to link the drugs that they took to the drugs that Mr. Willis either manufactured or gave to them. So he's going to have to. They're going to have to prove that he's responsible. Okay. So where is Mr. Willis now? Mr. Willis is in therapy. He's getting drug treatment. Now they can't really arrest him right now. And so this is one of the things that I tell my clients to do. So if they do wind up charging him, one of the things that he'll be up for bail, right? And so if you can point to something that he's doing positive, like, Judge, he's in treatment, he's not at risk of flight, he's here to answer the call, and because he's in treatment, he's less of a danger to the public than he otherwise would be. So you send your client into dry dock, basically, that's what we call it sometimes, and get their treatment under their belt for 2 purposes. 1, for bail, and number 2, if there is any kind of departure requested, you can make it based upon the offender getting treatment. However, it's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a cancer patient. You've got a situation where you've got 3 homicides, 3 deaths. He ain't getting probation. I don't care how great he does in treatment. He's not getting probation if they're able to link it up. And that's what they're going to have to do. One of the things that you're going to see now, and it may not even matter that they get his devices, because they're going to have the devices for the other 3 men, right? And so these men I guarantee you these men are talking. I guarantee you these men were talking to Jordan, or at least one of them was. That's why they were there. So if we look at this logically, if you believe, some of the things that are being said, and it's so early, it's difficult to say, but let's just fucking go with it, Let's just speculate, because that's what we're doing. We're waxing philosophic, right? But logic would tell you, you've got the chemist. You've got the guys who are looking to party. They go over to his house, they party, they die. And he fucked up. The chemist fucked up here. And they fucked up because, died of a fentanyl overdose. Guys and gals, let me tell you something. Fentanyl is very serious, and you don't want to even try it because you don't know what you're getting. The chemist here is, if they can link it up, it's going to be a real problem for him. So the thing that I would look at here is 2 things. 1, you get the toxicology. Number 2, you look at the devices and you see the communication going back and forth. I guarantee you there's communication with Willis beforehand. Hey, buddy, you mind if we come over? You got some good shit? Or, there's going to be some, oh yeah, what are you in the mood for? Yeah, I can put something together for you. I guarantee you there will be those kinds of conversations going on. And all of a sudden they show up and all of a sudden they overdose. It's a circumstantial case, right? Because they don't have a video of him actually giving the drugs, of course not. And 2 days goes by. 2 days go by where nobody is. I mean, these guys are sitting on the fucking yard for 2 days, And so, what was he doing in those 2 days? I guarantee he was probably using, no question about it. And he probably got rid of anything that would have been of evidentiary value. But he can't get rid of the text messages that may prove the government's case against Mr. Willis on the devices of the people who passed away. So let's just finish the interview and see what else what Mr. Caleb McGeaney has to say.
And who is the one that needs to be held responsible? Where did it come from? The police are doing their job. If it takes time, it takes time. I will never tell them they're not doing what they should be doing. They're doing the best they can. It takes time because you want it to be correct at the end of the day. And that's what I hope, is when at the end of the day it comes out correct.
You know, I don't think I've ever seen somebody on camera speak with a more measured tone and really a more appropriate tone, honestly. So Caleb, I think, has it right. I mean, he's grieving the loss of his cousin, and same with April Mahoney. But you think about that, three guys are dead, and yeah, this sounds like it's going to be Willis's fault, but it's also the fault of the three of them too, honestly. You know, and I'm not saying that in a crass fashion. I'm just saying you got to be more careful getting drugs from a guy like Willis. He must know what he's doing. He's got a PhD. Bullshit. You don't know what the fuck you're putting in your body unless it comes from a good source. And I've never seen anything that takes your freedom, takes your money, takes your health, but god damn it, I got to have more of it. You know, and that's what drugs are, you know, especially like meth or fentanyl. People get addicted to it, and heroin. Those drugs are just so destructive. And so if you're thinking about doing anything like that, think again. You know, why don't you just have a glass of wine and sit the fuck down? I hate to be preachy, but I hate to see, look at 3 strong, good-looking young men, lives cut short by drugs. Totally unnecessary. And it really does, I mean, the picture is sort of painted, right? I mean, you get what the tenor of this is. In the next few weeks, the actual results will come out. There will be some forensics done on the devices. And then the district attorney will put together a case, or the U.S. attorney, because this is a high-profile case. The U.S. attorney might put something together. Distribution can be just as simple as giving something away. You know, you don't have to get something for money. You know, I don't have to sell you drugs for it to be distribution. I can just give it to you. And guess what? I give you the drug, you die, I'm on the fucking hook. That's the law of the land everywhere. In Minnesota, the state statute's a little bit less. It's called third-degree murder. But in Missouri, it's second-degree murder. So it's like felony murder. So it just seems to me that if you are going to go party, go party. I'm smoke a little weed. I have no problem with that. But when you're taking stuff and putting it in your body that you don't know where the fuck it came from, and if it's coming from Mexico, you don't know where it came from. If it's coming, you know, if somebody else is making something, fucking for sure don't put it in your body. You know, just do the right thing. And don't be, you know, like these guys and, you know, all of a sudden disappoint all your loved ones with your death. It's just fucking not cool. Anyway, so we'll keep following this story. And it is interesting, but you watch. They're going to get the digital stuff. They're going to match that up with the autopsy and the toxicology, and they're going to arrest Mr. Willis. That's what's going to happen. I'd be shocked if that didn't happen in this case. So we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, your board-certified criminal defense lawyer with our content genius, Michael Rivers. Make sure you go to eforms.com. We'll see you next time. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, sign up for Patreon. Let's do a good deed. And we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. 23-hour lockdown, please, is that my God?